Hi all, welcome to my channel Semper Astra. My name is Maggie and usually on my social media I talk about topics related to blindness. However, one of my hobbies is testing fragrances, wearing fragrances, and recommending to others my favorite perfume discoveries. And this is why in today's video I would love to share with you my thoughts on La Belle Intensément from Lancome. It may be also interesting to mention that Lancome fragrances are being produced by L'Oréal. La Belle Intensément was released to the market in early March of 2020 and it was developed by Anne Flippo and by Nicolas Bollier. La Belle Intensément is one of many flankers of La Belle Eau de Parfum that was released in 2012. And at the beginning of this review, I would love to mention that I always think about this fragrance with a big nostalgia. And this is because so far La Belle Intensément is my favorite perfume from La Belle family, and unfortunately it has been discontinued. So if you appreciate La Belle Intensément as much as I do, or if you find my review interesting, it may be a good idea to reach for this fragrance as soon as possible. And the positive side of this situation is that because this fragrance has been on the market for several years, now it can be found in very good prices. If I were to summarize in one sentence the difference between La Belle Intensément and original La Belle from 2012, I would definitely say that La Belle Intensément has the same DNA of original La Belle, but the main difference is, and the very significant difference is, that La Belle Intensément has this beautiful juicy raspberry as one of the top notes. This note of raspberry is a very noticeable note, and it is also very long lasting. It can be enjoyed throughout whole duration of lasting power of whole perfume composition. And I just wanted to emphasize that raspberry in this fragrance is absolutely not sharp. It is not kind of sour at all. It is like a freshly picked fruit that is warmed by the sun. It is very, very ripe, very sweet, and very juicy. The next note in this fragrance as a top note is a note of bergamot. And I would say that it is not very distinct note as an individual note, but it gives whole fragrance and whole composition this air of lightness, of airiness, of juiciness, and of brightness. And it is a beautiful kind of opposition, we could say, against the heavier and richer notes of the base. So I would say that it is beautifully kind of balancing out against this heavy rich notes in the base of the fragrance. The last note in the top notes is the note of pink pepper, and in my opinion this note is not noticeable as an individual note, but from my experience it is making fragrances very intriguing and unique. In the hard notes we have a note of heliotrope, which is a flowery note, but it has many accents of gourmandy notes. And in this composition it has a note and slight accent of vanilla, powderiness, and even slight accent of nuttiness. And these accents are beautifully kind of sounding against the notes of the bass, and especially they beautifully are kind of aligning themselves with the note of vanilla in the base of the fragrance. The next notes in the heart of the fragrance are the note of orange blossom and the note of jasmine sambac. And these notes are not competing with one another, and I would rather say that they are as a beautiful bouquet here, and they beautifully complement one another. And thanks to these flowery notes, this fragrance has a character of elegancy, it is multifaceted, and it also has this vibe of richness and of kind of luxury vibe as well. In the base of this fragrance, the most significant note, I would say, is a note of vanilla. It is a very warm, cozy, smooth vanilla, which is beautifully rounding up whole fragrance and which is a beautiful base for whole composition. The next note is a note of iris, and although it is a flowery note, similarly to the heart notes, it is much deeper note. It is slightly powdery on one hand, but on the other hand, it has a richness of earthy notes. The next note is the note of benzoin, and it is also a base note, and it has a richness of resin, which beautifully is complementing the note of patchouli. But the note of benzoin is also slightly balsamic, which adds additional depth and richness to the composition of the notes here. And talking about the note of patchouli, I just wanted to say that it is always, well, I would say often associated with very rich, very deep, very earthy notes. And it is often associated with very kind of strong notes. And I would say that in this fragrance, this note is definitely noticeable, but it is not as strong as we might expect. The last note in this composition is the note of sandalwood, and it gives whole fragrance this slight woody character, but it is also beautifully creamy, and similarly to the note of vanilla, it is beautifully smoothing out whole composition. It is a beautiful finishing note for whole composition, and it is beautifully complementing the creaminess of vanilla and of other kind of notes that have powdery accents, like for example iris or even heliotrope, I would say. I would definitely recommend this fragrance for everyone who likes sweet, bold fragrances, but who also likes warm and hugging and cozy fragrances, and who likes the fragrance to be noticed, but who also likes wearing fragrances that are easy to enjoy by majority of people. In terms of situations for which this fragrance is suitable, I enjoy it throughout the day and throughout the night, and I also enjoy it throughout the whole year. However, I think that it is safer to wear this fragrance over the colder months because it can be too overpowering over the warmer months. In terms of the projection and lasting power, I think that both are really good. The lasting power on my skin is about 6 hours, and on the clothes even longer. And it projects definitely longer than arm's length. I would say that most of the people would be able to enjoy the fragrance around you if they are sitting in the same room with you. Now, before I summarize, I just wanted to mention that the only situations where I would be cautious with wearing this fragrance would be very official situations and certain work situations. If you're working in a very formal setting, or if you are working in a small rooms with many other people, I would consider probably the comfort of others. And although this fragrance is very easy to like and it's very universal, it is important to remember that some people find it hard to tolerate any fragrance or can be allergic to fragrances, and this fragrance definitely is strong and will be noticed by people around us. I also wanted to show you the box to the fragrance. I hope that you enjoyed this review, and I hope that Lancome will replace this fragrance with something very similar soon. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye bye.